Hello viewers, today we are going to attempt to service and clean this Holmes window fan. And I say attempt because I've found these things to be very difficult to get apart, at least the smaller versions anyways. So we'll see how this one fares. I guess I should have got this set up prior to recording. Oh well. I believe we'll start in the back, and we do have a number of screws. It looks like we have a total of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. So let's get those undone. Alright, those screws should be removed. Let's see if they all want to come out. Looks like we got most of them. Still one dwelling up here. Alright. Now, here's the frustrating part, and that is removing these clips. Now, perhaps there's a proper way to do this. I'm not entirely sure, so we're going to try it this way and see what happens. No, that's really not coming at all. There we go. You can just use a little bit of force. Certainly there's got to be a better way to do this. This is kind of damaging the plastic a little bit. Clip number 1. And let's see if we can do a little better with clip number 2. Okay, now that that's removed, what just happened? Just get this tape off of here, which I'm not sure why that's on there. And then it should split apart now. Of course, should and will don't always operate in the same realm. And while we're dealing with tape, I guess we'll get this tape off of the wire. Oh, that's great. What we're going to do is, I'm going to cut this tape like that. See if I can peel it off in one piece. Alright, so that came off. It's not super dirty, but it's dirty enough that I don't want to use it like this. So we'll get that washed. And now let's remove the guts here. I can tell this is going to be a nuisance to clean because the cord won't pull through there. So let's get the blades off first. Looks like we're going to need to utilize a wrench. And of course, this will be the one size I don't have. Oh, wait a minute. Nope. I don't know what size that is that I'm missing, but it seems like I always need it. This is going to be too small, but yeah. Now we'll just have to cheat and use this. Yeah, that's on there tight. Okay, it's a nice motor. Looks to be a PSC actually. No oil ports. It's not a Raider motor. It's a KEHN, a Ken motor. 30 watts, Class B. Although it does look to be very similar to that motor used in that Holmes single window fan that I have, the white one. Well, let's get this other blade taken off. This one's not nearly as tight. This is a lot more reasonable. While I have this off, let's take a look at the blades. I found this very interesting. The aerodynamics of these blades. They're not flat, but yet they're scooped on either end so that when reversed, they still move a decent amount of air. I wonder how effective that design really is. I always thought a flat blade was best when you're working with different directions. Now let's remove this piece. This should give me access to the wiring, the switch thermostat, and we'll see if there's an easy way to take all this out. I certainly hope there is. I'm not really sure the best way to clean this. I imagine you can't power wash this, so I'll have to do something about that. So it looks like, I'm not sure what's holding this stuff in place. Quite frankly, I'm wondering if I wonder if this creates enough of a seal. Well, actually, it doesn't really matter because the motors still have to come out. Not really sure if this stuff is meant to come out. And actually, I'm becoming fairly certain that it's not. You can see it's kind of held in by plastic pieces that don't seem to be removable at all. So that's a pretty lousy design. So these are PSC motors. There's the capacitor. It's a 2.5 microfarads. That's very irritating. Admittedly, this is coming clean quite easily, so I may just clean it by hand. I didn't want to have to do that, but I think given the circumstances here, it may be easiest. Well, either way, I guess we'll put this back on, and perhaps what I'll do is I'll just put the motors in bags and hope for the best with the controls in place, because it's ridiculous. Ridiculous design. And I guess if any of those components were to fail, you're not really going to be able to replace them. So I guess largely, despite the nicer motors, this is unfortunately a disposable piece of equipment. Well, we got to remove the motors regardless to get them serviced, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. As you can see, it's a fairly sizable motor, especially for such a small blade. Motors are pretty clean. Of course, there's a stinking glare. And actually, these switches are removable, so I will remove these and we'll put these in a bag along with the motors, and we'll just have to wash it kind of carefully. Okay. Now I had a bag sitting over here somewhere. Here it is. No, don't fall. Okay, good. Let's see how practical this is. I may have to get another bag for the switches. Or, maybe in this case, Now let's see what we can do this. Put the motors like that. But the problem with that is it doesn't leave me a whole lot of room to clean. Well, actually, I think that'll work. It's probably the best option. I'll go get another bag to put the switches in. Now, that's not the greatest, but this bag isn't sealing very well. But I think that'll be good enough. Alright, so now I can kind of wash this. Okay, this just got washed, so let's see if everything stayed dry. Looks like it did. Try out these bags now. Well, it didn't stay 100% dry, but dry enough. I would hope these motors are built with some sort of water resistance to them anyways. So, clean the rear guard and then the blades. Alright, so everything has been cleaned. It's dried off. I did end up power washing this as well at a lower setting, and it turned out fine. So that's that. Interesting item on the blades. I noticed there is a Holmes logo in there. Let's see if we can get it in view. There we go. Kind of an odd place to put the logo, but it is there nonetheless. So, that's that. It's time to service the motors. So, probably just show one on video and then do the other one off video because it's probably going to be the same thing. Now, this is kind of an interesting situation because the front bearing here can't be removed because it has that thing on the shaft. Now I suppose if you were so inclined you could probably hammer that out and then pull it off, but I'm not so inclined to do that. Now actually, I for some reason I thought that these motors had closed bearings in the back, but they don't. So actually, since these have had very little use, we may just oil it and move on. Blue 3-in-1 oil for fans. Oh dear. It's really starting to loosen up now. So we'll just go ahead and switch this on for a moment. It's running quite nicely, you can hardly even hear it. Okay. And I'll go ahead and mount this back on the grill. Just get these remaining water drops out of the screw hole. All things considered is plastic, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, and we'll take off the excess oil in the back. So aside from the clips, this wasn't too bad to take apart, but this the thermostatic and reversing controls really do make this a non-serviceable unit, which is highly unfortunate because chances are if something goes wrong, it's probably going to be within the thermostat. I suppose you could just open this up and sort it out and use it without the thermostat if something was to go wrong, but either way it's still ridiculous and it should be replaceable. This screw is almost stripped out. It was like that when I opened it. Alright, let's put the blade back on and we'll give it a test. Looks like the spin down time is significantly better than it was before. So let's plug it in now with the blade on and make sure everything works. The blade is very crooked, and it's not a functionality of the. So I don't think it's a functionality of the blade being on the shaft crooked. I think it's just a cheap mold. Oh. No, I stand corrected. It was a function of the blade not being on the shaft correctly. Now of course this moves a ton of air as it is now without the guards on, but once you put the guard on it's not going to move nearly as much air. But that's good, so the spin down time is good. So there's no reason to split apart the motors at this point. So let's do the same thing to the other one. Now I'll switch this one off. Actually, I guess we could have both running, it doesn't really matter. this motor is not, is not freeing up as much as the other one did. I'm not getting that call because that doggone person keeps calling and they don't leave a message. If it was anybody reasonable, they would have left a message. Okay, now we'll give it another test run here. The cord is like permanently ruined because they had it wrapped up obnoxiously at the store. It's going the wrong direction now. Kind of wobbly too. Yeah, it's good enough. It's still Oh, now they're both very wobbly. Ugh. Let's see if we can correct that at all. Probably not now that it's tightened. Yeah, I guess they're just gonna be wobbly, is what it is. It's not worth my time to try to correct it. Still got a little water in it. I guess the capacitor just kind of floats around in there. I don't really like that. That's the design it has. And this thermostat's pretty useless because, if anything, it's reading outside temperature, not what's in the room. Because this is the side of the unit that faces outside. So, what that thermostat really does for you as far as regulating your room is beyond me. I would say it probably does next to nothing. I don't know what this is. It came out before. I'm just gonna stick it back in there. And that will get these knobs put back in place. Okay, at this point, I think we are just about ready to put the guards back on. Put this in place. Oh, that's fitting on so lovely. Okay, I guess it wasn't as bad as I thought. I'll put these screws in, and then I'll pick up on the video in a minute. Okay, all the screws are in, so we'll give it a final test, and we'll put the clips back on. And we're going to need the knobs for this test. Oh, that's just lovely. Oh no. Well, here we go. A freak show in the video. How in the world am I going to get that off? Oh, Gotta be kidding me. Okay. These knobs really do kind of stink. Okay. There we go. Start off on intake. Low. Low. Some grass remnants in here. Medium. High. Exhaust. Intake. Can't really see the spin down time. There, now we can. Okay, that's good. Now we'll put the clips on. Oh, jeez, I didn't put this on correctly. I guess this, yeah, this has to clip in there on those other clips, and I gotta undo this whole thing again. And okay, so let's see how to put this in properly. I think it goes like this, and this hooks over these slats here, so that when you extend it, it actually extends. Good. Okay, put this on and screw it on again. Okay, so now this extends the way it's supposed to, and I believe these clips can just be pressed back on here. Yep, that would seem to be the case. Okay, that is working. So I think that's going to be it for this one. This is ready to go into service.